We're riding horses every day.
Riding horses, apparently
riding horses that we name Daily
This is
Solutions. We're riding them all day long. We're gonna feed them carrots and sugar cubes, and they're going to love us forever. This is now a horse-themed podcast. Horsey Solutions.
That wasn't a horse sound. It's like a triple.
Tiny, I think that's the sound ponies make. All right.
Hello everybody.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashkan.
Yep, this is Graham over here. And we are with Jeremy right now.
That's
yeah.
right, boom. And from a center named Float.
Yes,
Just keeping it
Float.
Just keeping it easy.
in
like
San
that.
Antonio. Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
why not? So we like to keep things simple.
And today we are here in
St. Louis. You can't tell, but Ashkan just cued me.
just
That's how I
gave him
knew
a
how
big
to
gesture.
talk right then. So we are in St. Louis for the Rise Float Gathering,
That's
the
right.
second year here.
second year.
And it's been a blast so far. We
been super
just
fun.
finished up the first day. Lots
Yeah.
of good talks.
Yeah.
Some good food.
Yeah.
Okay podcasting. You know.
Yeah, that's been the worst. That's been the worst quality thing so far today. Is
Yeah, it's our
I
podcast.
think.
Yeah, but people
high
have been
bar.
putting up with it. So cool. And I think Jeremy might have a question for
Okay,
us.
Let's hope
what's the most interesting reaction you've had from someone coming out of a float?
Coming out of a
Most
float.
interesting
Yeah.
reaction.
Interesting reaction.
All right. Think about that.
So I was thinking of one earlier today, so this is like fresh on my mind. And it's more like the full interaction / reaction after a
Right,
float, which
yeah.
I thought was interesting. And so it was, we run 24 hours a day. And so we had someone who did an 11 p.m. float, which are 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out a little early, and I just happened to be working the night shift and was around, They actually came out after maybe like 45 minutes into their 2.5 hour float. And she came out, and I got the impression she was just sort of like a Portland housewife, lived over in our suburbs, which is the Beaverton area out there.
Yeah.
And we sat down together. I was just like, hey, is everything okay? Why'd you get out of the float early? And she said, I was just having crazy hallucinations in there. And I saw things that would have put Stephen King to shame.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, and she's like, it got really dark, and I don't know where that stuff was coming from, and she was like obviously kind of weirded out by it. And we ended up talking for about an hour and just
That's
kind of going
awesome.
through it. And at the end of it, and she was actually just like, I don't think I would ever do this again at the beginning of this, like being like I don't like horror movies. This wasn't like my brain recollecting horror
I'm like,
movies that
that
I really
sounds
enjoy.
awesome.
Yeah.
She was terrified.
We did put some balloons into this. I think.
Sneak a red one, little clown hanging over the edge. Oh no, you totally
Yeah,
imagined
underneath
that.
the floor drain.
doing it
in the
with
shower,
those
like-
horse
Inside, I'm like,
masks.
oh, that was a really bad idea. We'd never do that again. But no, so at the end of the hour, though, she ended up leaving and being like, I think maybe this experience is actually really good for me. And scheduled herself another float and was
There
like,
you
hey,
go.
maybe there's some stuff that I have to
Nice.
Awesome.
explore here. So not on the weird, crazy side, but one of those just shifts of like you assume something might have gone wrong, something did go wrong. And in the end, it ended up being a really just positive experience. And it's this nice reminder, I guess, to not put your assumptions on like any
Yes.
part of that equation,
All right, that's awesome.
So let's see. I got a story of kind of in a similar vein. I had this older couple come in to float at some point, and it was just very clear that the husband had been dragged in by the wife.
Oh yeah.
So he didn't want to be there. He thought the whole thing was nonsense, and so we go into the float room. I'm giving them my intro spiel, and this dude's like not even listening. He's almost making a point of like interrupting me to show me how much how he doesn't think this is worthwhile or anything, And so I'm like, all right, and I get through the intro and everything, and they both go into float, and the float goes by, and he ends up coming out maybe like 5-10 minutes before his wife kind of gets showered and everything, comes out of his room, sits down on his couch, and this guy was a different person on the other end. Like, he started telling me about his life story. He was into real crazy industrial manufacturing, and started telling me like if we were looking to like make float tanks, he could get us set up with different manufacturers. Had an incredible experience. Actually was building a boat. He was like in the process of building a boat, and he had in his design plans a hot tub that he was building into the boat. And now he was telling me he was seriously considering changing it to be a float tank instead of a hot tub. And then we chatted about the logistics of like a float tank on a boat. Like
Yeah.
the weird, crazy like buoyancy weirdness, and like maybe you'd have to put it on a giant gyroscope or something. But it was just amazing. It was the most
That's
significant
awesome.
like 180 I've ever seen. It's from someone who just like absolutely thought the whole thing was nonsense to just like literally wanted to build himself a float tank
Yeah.
after coming out of there.
That's
so that was
great.
pretty great.
Yeah, we live in Texas, so I get these like cowboys that come in
Right.
occasionally, and yeah, sometimes they're like, really unsure about what they're getting into, and then yeah, most of the time they come around and they're like,
Yeah.
hey man, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool, brother.
And you just
For
make,
sure,
you
yeah.
make cool connections with people.
What
after
about
the
you?
float,
What's
too.
one of the more interesting things? That we don't
It's-
usually get to ask people questions. So
Yeah, no,
nice.
it's funny because it's almost similar. I think it's always the people you don't expect at fun.
Right.
It like
Uh-huh.
makes it more fun. So I had a mom. She was a little bit older, and her kids brought her in, and they had floated before, and so they were kind of laughing a little bit about like we're gonna see what her experience is, but she was really nervous, so I was like real cautious and real careful with her introduction and everything, got her set up, and then she came out and we were all in our lounge like hanging out and talking. The kids got done a little bit before her, and she comes out and she's got this like big smile, but also kind of like awestruck, that look like I don't know what just happened kind of thing. And then she starts telling us about all the visuals that she got and all this stuff. And she was real clean cut, very
Yeah.
soft spoken, just like soccer mom, And then she was like, I only got scared at one point because I saw the universe folding on top of itself, and I was worried I would get folded up with it. And we're just, I look at the kids and we're all like, whoa. Yeah. So like, man, mom just had a really deep experience. So that was fun.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we've shared a few others of the. I have a short one of the one where the three people like went into float, and like three people got out of their floats at the same time, like almost exactly. The doors opened.
Yeah.
And two of them walked out on either side in full like regular street clothes, and the one in the middle walked out just wearing like our robe that we had, and looking kind of confused. He walks out and looks on either side of him at the people who are fully dressed and obviously ready to go, and just kind of backs back into his room and shuts the door.
Puts his clothes back on.
He comes in later.
Hey, oops, that's not how you do this.
I would say like our lost and found, I think, is probably one of the best indications
Oh.
of weird things that happen after floats, ranging from like I've had to trace someone down the street to give their wedding ring back to them.
Yeah.
Someone left their pants. Like full. I went into clean a room and there was a full pair of pants just sitting there. I was like,
One
wow.
sock.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
sock was a good one.
Yeah,
the
we've
best
had
one
lots
was
of-
the best one was a walking cane, like an actual like medical
They just
cane.
didn't need any more, man.
Like literally, like
And then never came back for
no
it.
one ever
Like in a
contacted
movie,
us.
like, whoo, he
Like
just
someone
throws
came
it.
in with the cane and left without one and never asked us for it again.
Best testimonial ever.
Yeah, we have it like mounted up in our
You
office.
should have a thing by the front door, leave your canes here. You
Yeah,
won't need
you
them
won't need
anymore.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for the question,
Thank you,
Jerry.
Jerry. You guys
that
are
was
awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. For those of you out there, if you want to ask us questions,
Yep.
good luck. We're in St. Louis. We're not
Yeah.
even looking at our phones.
So unless
or
you're here at
emails.
Rise, it's gonna be
That's
it's gonna
it.
be difficult.
Tough
yeah.
cookies.
Even if you have our personal cell phone numbers,
Yeah.
no luck. Yeah.
We're not even answering questions via our website anymore. So
Yeah, we're taking down the website tomorrow. We've given up on it. We're just doing everything
assembling
live
the whole
now.
business.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, what?
That's it. I'm out.